Here are 4 reasons why Meryl Streek can be as big as he wants to be, and 7 of the songs of his that you need to hear right now. Let's go on a deep dive. Dublin-based avant-garde punk artist Meryl Streek will be releasing his second album, Songs for the Deceased, on October 25th. He's already released 4 songs from it, which you can own right now if you pre-order the album like I did from iTunes. I really like it when artists do that, because you get access to early singles in the lead up to the album, but you don't have to worry about buying them twice because they weren't released separately as singles. With this pre-order system, the whole rest of the album pops into your phone when the album is released, without you having to do anything. It's a smart and organized way to launch an album, so I appreciate it when an artist sets it up that way. I feel really lucky to have happened upon Streek's music. Death to the Landlord was a suggested video from YouTube based on the steady diet of neo-punk like Atari Teenage Riot and horror spelt with 3 nines that I had been listening to, so I clicked on it and gave it a shot. What I found was an artist with a huge disparity between his talent level and his number of followers and subscribers, but I'm suspecting that will change shortly. He is exactly the kind of artist that I like to promote, and what this channel is all about. So let's get right to it. Within the span of the 16 songs that I've heard by Meryl thus far, a consistent style has emerged. The way I see it, he has 4 superpowers which make all of his music unique and exhilarating to listen to, and will lead to his success if he continues to keep working as hard and consistently as he has been for the last several years. Number 1, authenticity. At no point within any of his songs is he not fully invested emotionally and artistically. Nothing feels watered down in the slightest. He always comes across wholly heartfelt and honest. His vocal delivery and lyrical structure have a free-form nature which sometimes feels unrehearsed, and that adds to the credibility and emotional honesty of his work. This is an artist who is not making music for money or fame, but rather because he is compelled to do so from within. Success may come, and it would be well-deserved, but his motivations cannot be questioned. His passionate, straightforward approach demands your attention and authenticates the message of each track. He writes about his anger towards the current Irish government, especially relating to the housing crisis that their policies have created. And he also takes on the Catholic Church and the music industry. Not the first topics you'd pursue if you were a bag chaser. Number 2, voice and vocal performance. Streek has a simple and straightforward style for his vocal performance, screaming out his lyrics and repeating them often within each song, producing a hypnotic effect. Songs like Patty and Educated Mates are prime examples of this. Sometimes it feels like the lyrics are ad-libbed, and they can come across like slam poetry. His live performances further that, since his shows often feature him solo on stage, shouting out his vocals over recorded tracks of his music. He sometimes refers to his concerts as therapy sessions, which makes sense because they are deeply personal and he has no one to hide behind. His voice also has a tremendous amount of character, and his accent adds a lot to the sound. There's a great theatrical element to his performance, as evidenced by the intro to Death to the Landlords.
You've lied so much your teeth have become rotten, yellow and stained from all the shite you've been talking. And it's left to us to pick up the pieces, with smiles on our faces.
Most of his tracks have at least one key lyric which he hits hard and he leans into, and they never fail. I'll mention those for each song in my countdown later. I was afraid that the simplicity of his lyrics would wear thin over repeat listens, but that wasn't the case because of his most important superpower. Number 3, dynamic musical composition. Music is like food for my mind. Some people like the familiar when they listen to music, and that's all well and good for me at times as well. But there's a part of my brain that needs things unique and complex for it to analyze and be stimulated by, and Streek's music is perfect for this. He's very smart in his design choices. He juxtaposes very different sounds and instrumentation in order to have full control over the mood of each song. His sense of tone within each track is spot on. Early on, he realized that if all he did was yell over loud music, that it wouldn't have much of an effect. So he balances the harshness of his vocals and the subject matter that he covers with beautiful, delicate, and soothing musical elements, along with the hard-driving punk or industrial electronica, which shares space as well. I feel this way about a lot of my favorite music, but when you first listen to Meryl Streek, In order to fully understand what he's doing and to get the proper experience, you really need to give his music your full attention. You should put on headphones and listen fully rather than having it on in the background. This is an artist who is bearing his soul and is putting in the work to distinguish himself, so I definitely think that he's worth your time and focus. Number 4, image and work ethic. Despite being an independent artist, his videos are well shot and his music is brilliantly produced. He might have the best production values of any artist with less than 2,000 YouTube subscribers and no Wikipedia page that I've ever come across. His talent has led other gifted artists to work with him, such as Molly Volpine and Dan Doherty, his former bandmate who has risen to prominence by producing Fontaines DC and Denzel Curry, among others. He has a distinctive look, with white contacts and a signature striped shirt and cap, and he applies the same hard-soft dynamic within his music to his videos. One moment he's spitting blood, the next he's bouncing his head in time with a toy bear rocking back and forth on the table. He is savvy enough to apply his musical aesthetic to his visuals and public image, and I think that should benefit him in the long run. Everything from his website to his Instagram feed looks completely professional. He isn't cutting any corners, and he's putting in a tremendous amount of work, so I think it's only a matter of time before he develops the audience that he deserves. Now it's time for his Magnificent 7. Here are 7 songs you should check out right now, keeping in mind that I haven't heard a bad one by him yet. The man has only made an album and 4 singles, and I still feel bad about some of the tracks that I left off this list, so that should tell you something. Number 7, False Apologies. False Apologies is protest punk with elements of electronica and takes on a prime focus of Meryl's ire, the Catholic Church. The guitars simmer at the start, eventually bubbling up with rage as the song reaches a crescendo. It takes on the practice within the mother and baby homes of Ireland of taking the babies of unwed mothers and putting them up for adoption while subjecting them to cruelty, neglect, and worse. It's a passionate piece of songwriting about a serious topic which should be known about. If you want to learn more, check out the 2023 documentary Stolen, which features Catherine Corliss, the historian whose investigation uncovered the mass grave near a church in Tuam, when she looked into the discrepancy between 800 death records, yet only 2 burial records within the same region and time period. Number 6, Dogs. Meryl Streek is willing to incorporate a wide range of music within his work, and this track starts off with a loop that could easily be in a chill hip-hop song. It soon speeds up and adds more punk elements, and is an example of how unique, creative, and genre blending his music is. The production is squeaky clean, and the video is a perfect extension of what is happening musically, since it takes place in a tea and coffee shop, a place where you could relax and then switch it up and get completely wired on caffeine. Number 5, 796. The title track to his first album is such a badass song. It fools you with a semi-cheerful, laid-back jazz-style opening, and the sultry delivery of vocals from frequent collaborator Molly Volpine. But it's all just an indirect way of addressing a horrific topic in a more palatable manner. When you can both entertain and educate, you're making great music. And this song tackles a dark moment in Ireland's past head-on, while still being appealing to listen to multiple times. Number 4, Counting Sheep. I think the quote here might serve as his creative mantra, because I don't sense any doubt or hesitation in his process. It is an impressive feat to make a catchy song which is both enjoyable to listen to and yet potentially antagonistic to the listener, as he warns of submitting to the system like sheep, becoming part of the problem. The result is a song which ironically could have some mainstream commercial potential. The musical interlude starting at 1:53, along with the positive message of personal empowerment, is something I could envision in an Apple ad. If a big company like that wanted to pretend that it wasn't exploiting cheap labor and avoiding paying taxes and other bad stuff like that. If I ever saw a Meryl Streek song in an ad, I wouldn't feel like he sold out for it. I think that the only way for artists to make a change in the world is to work from within and have the resources to do so. It reminds me of my favorite Black Mirror episode, 15 Million Merits, when the industry signs the main character to a deal to have his own channel where he goes off daily against the establishment. It's a delicate balance for an artist like Streek to maintain, but as long as he continues to make honest, heartfelt work and he is thankful of the success that he gets, I think he deserves any benefit that comes his way, and no one should begrudge him that. Number 3, Yesterday. This one starts off with an industrial 9 Inch Nails feel. It sounds like a breakup song, but it's not 100% clear as to what the exact subject matter is because the lyrics don't reveal everything. What is clear is the raw passion behind the lyrics and the delivery of them.
My days are dark as shit, but I can't let it win. 24/7, mind going round and bend.
This song exemplifies everything I love about Streek's music and all of the superpowers that I mentioned earlier. It has 3 distinct and desperate musical elements, which somehow he blends together perfectly. The industrial electronic, the driving punk rock guitars, and the classy, mournful strings. His lyrics are simple, blunt, and passionately delivered, with a distinctive voice and accent, and his intention can never be questioned. This type of creative fearlessness, this emotional vulnerability, is exactly what I look for in an artist, and I find the end result exhilarating. I haven't heard a song this bold and vulnerable since You Will See Me by Dan Lissac and Scroobius Pip. Definitely check that track out as well if you haven't heard it before. Number 2, Death to the Landlord. This one starts with a slow guitar build for a full minute, which sounds absolutely epic. This might be the best sounding song that he's made overall. Both his vocals and the musical elements all sound crystal clear. Dan Doherty really did his job well here. It's also his most cohesive and thematically clear track to date, as he takes on the Irish government and their mishandling of the housing crisis. His righteous indignation and pure vitriol sounds focused and potent, and he speaks on the behalf of a generation which feels massively underserved and exploited. It's also a problem that a lot of people outside of Ireland can relate to. Housing is expensive for young people throughout the world, with Australia and my hometown of New York City having severe problems with it as well. I still feel lucky that I clicked on this video on YouTube from an artist I had never heard of, so now I'm trying to make sure that others do the same, because he's a truly talented individual who definitely deserves to be heard. It's probably still my favorite, but his most important song might be Number 1, If This Is Life. This is the first song that I would recommend to people that have never heard of him, and I think it has the best chance within his catalog to be a mainstream crossover hit. If This Is Life sounds like happy rebellion. There can be something joyful and victorious about going against the system and rejecting societal norms, and that's all encapsulated here. It's an upbeat, happy, and catchy bop, and I believe that if enough people hear it, it will be a runaway success, which could be the gateway for many people to be introduced to what Meryl Streek does. Do a deep dive of his music along with me, and tell me which of his tracks are your favorite in the comments section. I've tried to summarize things, but his entire body of work is worth listening to, and there are a lot of other worthy songs I didn't go into, just to keep this video short enough not to be intimidating. What other artists would you suggest that I check out? I'm always up for another deep dive, so let me know. Representing hard work and talent, I am Sean the Storm Grant, #stormpinball on YouTube and Instagram. Thanking you for your time and reminding you that the meaning of life is the meaning you give it. So make sure to go out and live it. Take care.
And if this is life, then I don't want it.